If you're anything at all like me, then you love ride cymbals. I got a few of them in my collection here. This video is all about rides. I'm going to show you what I got, going to tell you why I got them, and then I'm going to let you hear them. This might be the only ride buying guide that you need to see. So there are three main characteristics that I'm wanting to test out with every single ride cymbal that I put a stick on, right? Bell, stick definition, crashability. These are the three, as far as I'm concerned, three most important things that you want to look for in any ride cymbal. So the first one that I picked up, from Paiste anyway, I was only going to get the one at the time, so I wanted it to be the most versatile one possible, that had all of those three things in spades. So this is the first one that I got. This is a 602 Modern Essentials. It's a 22-inch, and this does everything beautifully. So the crash sounds awesome. It's got a really nice bright ping on the bell, and the stick definition is freaking gorgeous. So as far as versatility in a ride, you want those three things to shine. You really want them to impress you when you start testing it out. So this is the all-purpose ride in my collection. This is the one that I'll take on outdoor gigs, larger rooms, indoors, anything where volume isn't really an issue. So when you're shopping for a super versatile ride, keep those things in mind, okay? So you want to try to find something 21, maybe 22 inches, medium weight, okay? Medium weight is going to give you that nice crashability, nice bright ping on the bell. So if you're in situations where you need to cut over a bunch of guitars, you know that's going to do the job. So not too long after I got the Modern Essentials, I picked up one of these. This was a bucket list ride for me for a long time. This is a 21-inch Signature Dark Energy Mark I. The difference between this one and the 602 Modern Essentials, it's still got a nice bright bell. It's not as bright as the Modern Essentials. The stick definition is gorgeous, but it's a little bit darker because of the finish and the hammering pattern and all that kind of stuff. It's just a tad darker. And the crash sounds great, but again, because of the finish, front and back, it's just slightly darker than the other one. So I'll use this ride in situations where maybe volume is kind of a thing, but it still projects and cuts quite well. So this is more or less kind of a more controlled companion to my 602, and because I'm dark energy all day, I had to get one. So something like this is fantastic for recording. I'll also take this into situations where I kind of want everything that the 602 does, but just in a more controlled level. So whatever company out there you like to rock with, they're going to have something in one of their series similar to this, where it's going to be lathe, but they might have left a lot of it unfinished. So it's going to be a little more controlled volume-wise, but you'll still get a nice bell and good crashability out of it. So when I was shopping for my next ride after the Dark Energy, I was looking specifically for something dark. I was a little bit more concerned with stick definition than a loud bell. Generally, when you go with a darker cymbal, you're not going to get as bright a bell. So just know that going in. But stick definition and a nice washy kind of crash was a priority. So I ended up getting this. This is a 22-inch Masters Dark. So if you're going to be shopping for a cymbal that you want to be able to take into situations where volume might be a thing in the room, you want something a little more controlled, then you might want to look at something in the darker variety. Again, keep in mind that the bell is not going to be super bright. You'll get enough out of it, but it's not going to be super bright. In those situations, you don't really want it to be anyway. So this is obviously super great for jazz, this type of cymbal, R&B type stuff, gospel stuff, even worship music. The crash is really great. The decay is not too long, so it's not gonna, it's not gonna get in the way. But if you're the type of drummer that really likes to play your cymbal, something like this, you're gonna dig. Now this next ride that I have in my collection is one that I would consider the polar opposite of my 602 Modern Essentials, and that's this. This is a 21-inch Masters dry ride. When you're in situations where you're playing tiny rooms, I'm talking where the first row is 1.5 feet away from you, what you want to look for is the word dry. If the name of that cymbal has dry in its description, that's what you want to look at. So this thing is barely laid at all. It's mostly unfinished, as you can see. Most companies, I'd say, would have something similar to this in their in one of their series anyway. But you're going to get the least volume out of a cymbal like this, which isn't a bad thing. Because the beauty about having a cymbal like this in your collection is that for those really small rooms, you can still lean into this thing without it pushing out too much volume. But I was actually quite surprised at how versatile this particular cymbal was. I was hanging out at Sweetwater Gear Fest, and a buddy of mine, a guy named Tyler Bronson down in Nashville, he hit me up to this one. There was one of these in the Paiste booth that I was chilling at, and I put it on the stand and I started playing it. I'm like, wow, man, this is really surprising me right now. This cymbal has a surprising amount of life in it for how dead it is. So it's got a great crash. The bell sounds awesome on this thing. And the stick definition is actually pretty razor sharp. So because a dry cymbal like this has very little sustain to it, it makes them perfect for small room situations where volume is an issue. You can still play these things without worrying about it being too loud. So this would be sort of the equivalent of like an Evans hydraulic drum head. Now, as a ride cymbal gets thinner, it becomes more crashable, which for me adds to its versatility. So this latest ride that I picked up is my current favorite. I love this thing, and that's this. This is a 20-inch Signature Traditionals light ride. The reason why I wanted to get this, number one, because I already have the 17 and the 18 crashes, but I wanted to, number one, complete the set, but number two, I wanted a ride in my collection that I could actually use as a third crash. Now, I could have looked up some sort of a crash ride type situation, but I would rather get an actual ride cymbal that's just thinner because I still want a nice bright bell on it. And sometimes on crash rides, you lose the volume with the bell. But this thing is beautiful because, I could use this thing as a dedicated ride, or I could stick it off to my far right and just use it as a standalone crash. But, the great thing about this particular cymbal here is that it still has all the elements. It's got just enough of all of the elements. It's got a bright enough bell, like it's not super loud, but it's not really quiet either. The crashability is ridiculous, and the stick definition is surprisingly on point. And because it's thin, it's not super loud either. So I can take this thing in almost any situation. So something like this with these types of characteristics would be a really great second option for you to add to the first ride that you picked up. So those are currently all the rides in my collection. Now I'm going to let you hear each one of them back to back, give you some sound samples. Make sure you got some good headphones on, and you can check out each one of these characteristics that I talked about. So hopefully you got some helpful information out of this video. If you're currently shopping for a ride cymbal, maybe some of this stuff will help you out when you're looking for one. Or if you were just here for the entertainment because you love rides, that's cool too. Do me a favor, drop a comment below if you got one. Share this video if you dig it. But before you leave, do me a solid. Go ahead and get yourself a piece of merch on the way out. There's a link in the description box that'll take you over to my merch shop. Every time you pick up a piece of merch, you support the channel, so it's highly appreciated. Other than that, I'm out. Like, subscribe. See you next video.